Hey guys, I am so excited to talk to you guys about one of my favorite things, which is budgeting. And before I actually get into the budget itself, I wanted to talk really quick to you about cash, because later on when I show you the budget, I'm going to be talking about cash envelopes. And so, did you know that when you pay with cash, you actually spend less money? So let me just explain that a little bit. When you're at the store and you go to pay for your purchase with cash, you actually see the money leaving your hand. Okay, so you see it. You also feel it because in a way you've become emotional about that money. It's your money. And so when you hand over the cash to pay for your purchase, you see it leaving and you feel it. On the other hand, when you pay with a debit or credit card, when you swipe the card, there's no emotion with that transaction. You don't see the cash or the money actually leaving your account, and you don't feel that sense of loss. So there's no emotion when you swipe a debit card or a credit card. And so that's the difference. And so with the budget, I've attached on my website just two forms. So I have this basic budget form, and then also an example of bills. So before you start doing your budget, it's important for you to write down every bill that you have during the month. So I just started with the very first of the month, and then I went down and I just listed what each bill was and how much we owed for that bill. Okay, so that's the first thing that you want to do. And this is just an example that you can use to help you remember what bills you have that you need to write down. What I do is I actually just print this out and cut it out. And then me and my husband, we keep track of our bills in just a basic notebook. So we basically do this budget here, but we do it in this notebook. And so I'm going to explain kind of how this budget works, but I'm going to show you on this larger poster board so you can kind of see it a little bit bigger. But everything on this budget form is on this poster board. So at the top, you're going to put the date and then your paycheck, the amount that you got paid. So this is just an example. These numbers are just made up. But I'm just going to show you what me and my husband do. So we write down how much we got paid up here at the top, and then we write down how much we're going to pay in tithing. So that's just what we do next here. These other two right here, this is just something unique that me and my husband do. So our mortgage, excuse me, every paycheck we take out half of our mortgage and we transfer it to another savings account, because our mortgage is actually pulled out of that other savings account. It's not pulled out of our checking account. So every paycheck we pull out half, and then we transfer it to another savings account. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. This other right here, this is actually for our kids' gymnastics. So every paycheck we just decide how much money we want to put into their gymnastics fund. And then we actually do the same thing here. We transfer it to another savings account. So that way we don't spend that money on other things. It's already budgeted for that specific item. So that's what those are. You don't have to do that. That's just something unique that me and Wes do. But at the top of your budget form, you're going to have your paycheck, your tithing, and fast offering. So any donating that you're going to do, you're going to subtract it, and then you're going to get a total here. So that's your new total. Okay, and then this middle part, this is where you're going to write down all of your bills and expenses for that 2-week period. So look at the date, and then go out 2 weeks and look at the bills that are going to come out during that 2-week period, and you're going to write down all of those bills. Okay, so I wrote them down here. I wrote down how much the bill was, and then I just wrote down the date that they were going to be withdrawn from our checking account. All of these come out of our checking account, and these are automatic withdrawals. So we don't write checks for these or anything like that. It is automatically withdrawn from our account, and it makes it so easy that way. The last thing that we budget for under this category, I guess, is gas and extra money. It's always a good idea to have a little bit extra in your account, just in case you forgot to budget for something, or maybe one of your bills went up in price and you weren't aware of that. But it's always good to just have a little bit extra money in your checking account. So we usually go with about $50 extra. And then for gas, we always buy gas with our debit card that comes out of our checking account. So that's the only thing that we use our checking account for, is for our bills and to pay for gas. So that's all that we use it for. So we usually talk about how much we want for gas when we're doing our budget. Sometimes it fluctuates, so we just kind of talk and decide how much money we think we will need for gas and for extra money, and then we just come up with an amount together, and then we write down the total here. So what you're gonna do next is you're gonna take your total here that you got, and you're gonna subtract all of these, and you're gonna get your new total down here. So the next thing that we do is cash envelopes. So what we do is there's certain categories that we always pay for those items with cash. The main one that we do that for is food. Food is a really good one to try out for your very first time. We spend roughly around maybe $400 to $500 a month on food. It just kind of depends on what we decide when we do our budget. We're a family of 4, and so we have found that 400 to 500 works really well for us. So it's just something that you'll have to talk about when you're doing your budget. And it's just kind of a trial and error at first as you're trying to figure this out. So just think about how much money you're gonna need for food, and then try it. And if it's not the right amount, you can change it for the next budget. So we just wrote down 200 here. So, and this is every 2 weeks. So we're doing 200 for 2 weeks of food. We have, these are just some other ideas of cash envelopes that you could possibly do. We do a fun envelope. This is like fun activities that you want to do with your family, like maybe going to the movie, or doing some fun family activity, whatever you guys like to do together. We always pay for these types of activities with cash. And so we have a fun cash envelope, and we kind of just decide how much money we may need for that, and then we write down the total here. Another category that we use cash for is clothes. And so clothes is a really good one. However, we do also online shopping a lot. And so for clothes, this is just when maybe we're going on a vacation and we know that we're gonna wanna buy some clothes for our girls, or maybe it's during the summer and I know that I need to start saving money for school clothes, and so I'll start putting money aside for that. So this is just kind of an idea of what you could do for clothes. So what we do really quick is this is our cash envelope system. This is just like a coupon filing folder that I got from the dollar store. So what I've done is I've written down our categories just on these little tabs here. So our main one is food. And then another one that we do is extra. This is our fun money. So for like our fun activities that we do. And then another one is clothes right here. Those are our 3 main ones that we use cash for. And so what we'll do is when we do our budget here, I will just add up how much money we decided we need to put in our cash envelopes. and I'll add this up and I'll get a total, and then we will go to the bank and withdraw that money from our checking account. And then I will divvy it up into our cash envelopes. Okay, so that's what we do for that. So basically what you're doing here is after you've decided what you're gonna put in your cash envelopes, you're gonna take your total here, subtract out the amount that you have in your cash envelopes and get a new total here. And then this total right here is pretty much what's left over after we've done everything that needs to come out. So we decide that we're gonna put that into savings, okay? And we have a few different savings accounts. So we just talk together and decide what savings account we're gonna put this amount in. And then we'll just do another transfer, kind of like what we did up here. We'll just transfer this amount to our savings account. The goal here is to get a 0 at the end of your budget, okay? So that means that every dollar from your paycheck has a place, okay? You don't want anything left over where it's just kind of floating around, because you'll end up spending it and you don't know what happened to it. So the goal is to get a 0 at the end, okay? This is good. This is what you want, okay? Like I said, when we go to the bank, we're going to withdraw that amount for our cash envelopes, and we're going to divvy it up into our little sections here, okay? With the cash envelopes, it's really important to become very disciplined with this. That means that if you budgeted, say, $200 for food for that 2-week period, and you went to the grocery store and you spent all of your $200, that means that you cannot spend any more money on food. So going to the restaurant or doing more grocery shopping, you can't spend any more money on food. You're done for that 2-week period. You can't borrow money from other categories to buy a pizza or to, I don't know, go out to eat, anything like that. So you have to be very disciplined in order for this to work. And I promise you it does work. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of self-control and discipline in making this work. The other thing is, when you start out doing a budget, it's not going to be perfect the first time around. So it took me and Wes probably about 3 months before we got our budget to where we were very comfortable with it. So don't give up and don't get frustrated when you don't budget something right, okay? It takes practice. So if you don't do something right on your first budget, on your next budget, then you can fix it and make changes, okay, as you go. Let's see. The other thing is, my daughters also have their own cash envelope systems. So they also will file their money kind of the same way. They have 3 categories: save, give, and spend. So when they receive money for whatever reason, they will decide where to divvy up their money. And give is also tithing. So anyway, that's how our girls budget their money as well. So anyway, that is the basics of a budget. I hope you learned something. I hope you will try it. And thank you for watching.